Hello and welcome. Today I am going to be reading 10 fascinating behind the scenes facts about The Wire. So with that, sit back, relax, and let's get started. The iconic HBO crime series The Wire is one of those shows that even a decade plus after its release, people are still talking about. One aspect of the show that continues to be just as fascinating as anything else is how it all came together. All those tidbits of background information and behind the scenes facts about the formation and production of one of the greatest shows of all time. Number 1. The Wire was loosely based on the experiences of co-writer Ed Burns' career in law enforcement. It's no secret that David Simon pulled from his long career with the Baltimore Sun newspaper for the general feel and atmosphere of the show, but a lot of the specifics and behaviors of certain characters and situations come from the memory bank of former Baltimore homicide detective turned writer Ed Burns. During an interview with Salon conducted shortly after the series premiered in 2002, David Simon explained that a lot of what is seen in the first season was based on his writing partner's career. Number 2. David Simon had an ingenious way of convincing HBO to produce a cop show. Before The Wire came around, you didn't go to HBO to watch cop shows. You went to big networks for that type of programming. Sure, there were crime-based series on HBO like Oz and The Sopranos, but a traditional cop show wasn't the channel's bread and butter, so to speak. And David Simon knew this. In an interview in 2006, former HBO Entertainment president Carolyn Strauss remembered her first meeting with David Simon in 2000, where he pitched the idea of beating the major network at their own game, stating, "David made the very compelling argument that the most challenging and subversive thing that we could do was go right into the network's backyard. Number 3. Former Baltimore Mayor Martin O'Malley wasn't the biggest fan of the series. You know you're doing something right when you get in trouble for it. And that was the case for David Simon, who received an angry phone call from then Mayor of Baltimore, Martin O'Malley, who tried everything in his power to make the show include some of the good things he had done about the city, or find somewhere else to shoot. During that phone call, which David Simon turned into a piece in Baltimore Magazine, the former mayor started off by saying that the city wanted out of the wire business before going on a long spiel about including more positive aspects of the city, aspects which Simon surmised were brought up only to bolster the mayor's image. In the Entertainment Weekly piece mentioned above, Hannon Bryan, then director of Baltimore's Film and Television Division, understood what the show meant for the city, but wished The Wire would do more, stating, "But would he prefer that some of the other more beautiful aspects of the city be portrayed? Yes." Number 4. John C. Reilly was almost cast in the lead role of Jimmy McNulty. Without a doubt, The Wire featured one of the most talented casts on any television series before or since. The list of characters is led by none other than Dominic West, who was such a capable actor in his portrayal of Jimmy McNulty that I didn't know he was English and not from Baltimore until after the fact. Things could have gone differently, however, if David Simon's original choice for the role wouldn't have fallen through. At one point, Simon was eyeing John C. Reilly for the role, but things just didn't work out. But then an audition tape from Dominic West came in, and the rest is history. Number 5. Wendell Pierce's anger towards a cab driver helped him get the role of Bunk Moreland. David Simon revealed that one of the auditions that stood out the most was that of Wendell Pierce, who later went on to portray Bunk Moreland in all 5 seasons. On the day of the audition, Pierce had a bad experience with a cab driver and was red hot with anger when he started reading lines. Simon described it as, "He was harried like a bear who'd hit the hornet's nest. He had to focus on the scene, and he was apologizing for what he thought was a bad read. But it had that air of Baltimore, put upon workaday Baltimore homicide detective. As soon as he came in and read, it was like, that's our bunk. Number 6. The actress behind the cutthroat character Snoop took inspiration from her own life. Felicia Snoop Pearson will go down as one of the most ruthless and relentless characters on The Wire for her cold yet oddly calm demeanor throughout the show's final 3 seasons. Snoop was such a sinister character that Stephen King, of all people, wrote about her in an Entertainment Weekly column, writing, "Snoop is perhaps the most terrifying female villain to ever appear in a television series." The character, however, was inspired by and named for the actress who brought the character to life. In a Baltimore Sun profile on Felicia Pearson, it was revealed that, like the character she played on TV, the actress grew up on the streets of Baltimore and was at one point sent to prison for second-degree murder after she shot and killed another teenager during a fight. After completing her sentence, Pearson had a chance encounter with Michael K. Williams, who invited her to the set of The Wire, where she impressed the producers and was written into the show for a minor role before the character was expanded. Number 7. Even Michael K. Williams was confused when Season 2 introduced the Docs. In hindsight, The Wire was always about more than just the drug trade in Baltimore, and instead about how each and every aspect of life in Charm City is connected. But jumping from Season 1 with the focus on the Barksdale organization and police task force investigating the heroin trade to the docks and union workers in Season 2 was a major jump. Fans of the series weren't the only ones surprised by the new environment and cast of characters introduced in the second season, as Michael K. Williams, who portrayed Omar Little, was initially confused and a little upset about the shift. Number 8. The Season 4 school subplot was inspired by the flawed Baltimore school system. You could make an argument that Season 4 is the show at its best, and that has a lot to do with co-writer Ed Burns' history in the Baltimore public school system, which was a major focal point of the series' penultimate season. After leaving the Baltimore Police Department after 20 years, Burns spent the next 7 as a teacher in the inner city. At the time of the season 4 premiere, Ed Burns sat down with NPR to discuss the flawed school system in the city of Baltimore, as well as other public school districts in large metropolitan areas with substandard inner city schools. Ed Burns explained that the season took place in a middle school opposed to a high school to better illustrate how children are being put through a testing ground for the street at that age. Number 9. David Simon had the best response when the U.S. Attorney General begged for a 6th season. Just about everyone wanted more of The Wire following the conclusion of the 5th season in March 2008. Eric Holder, the U.S. Attorney General under the Obama administration, jokingly begged David Simon and Ed Burns to make another season when speaking at a drug policy event in 2011. David Simon gave one of the best responses. The Attorney General's kind remarks are noted and appreciated. I've spoken to Ed Burns, and we are prepared to go work on season 6 of The Wire if the Department of Justice is equally ready to reconsider and address its continuing prosecution of our misguided, destructive, and dehumanizing drug prohibition. Number 10. Tom McCarthy, who played an unethical journalist in season 5, went on to direct one of the best journalism movies in years. And this last little tidbit of behind-the-scenes facts has not as much to do with The Wire as it does with one of the most detestable characters introduced during the show's 5-season run. No, it's not one of the many drug dealers, crooked cops, or corrupt politicians. No, it's Scott Templeton, the unethical and arrogant Baltimore Sun reporter that was portrayed by Tom McCarthy. Throughout the entire 5th season, Scott Templeton is shown to be untrustworthy, unlikable, and prone to just make stuff up whenever he's trying to bring depth to a flat story. What's funny about this is that nearly a decade after shining light on the dark side of journalism, McCarthy wrote and directed one of the best newspaper movies in years with the 2015 release of Spotlight. So that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful night.